if you want her to do OnlyFans, comment in the video below OF, and if we get 100 comments, then I'll force her to do it.
You're ridiculous. Welcome back to the YouTube. We're doing something a little bit different today. We put on our stories to ask us anything, and we've got some pretty outrageous questions, I'm not going to lie. Obviously, when people like to ask questions and they have the option to do it anonymously, there seems to be no filter, so this will be definitely interesting.
So the first question is, and I'm just going to ask you all the questions because no one cares about me. How did you get sponsored by Perform? Was the first question.
We obviously Perform is one of our favourite supplement companies. They do the best way. Genuinely couldn't ask for a better sponsor, to be fair, could we?
No.
Essentially, because we own Gym Supplies, the supplement company on the Isle of Man, we purchase a lot of Perform stock. They work very closely with Perform, and they kind of reached out and just said, would you like to kind of work with Perform? And we said, of course. So yeah, it was quite organic, really, in terms of just growth from the other business to where we are now, really.
Yeah, and the other way you could look at that question is, how would that person become sponsored? And I've had a few people message me asking this, but I wouldn't chase a sponsor in particular. If you're putting out good content, then the sponsors will come to you. I was sponsored by Bodybuilding Warehouse, which was shite, and I was pushing their stuff, and it was not something I used, but I only used it because I got free stuff from them. Whereas Perform I've used for probably about 4 years, I'd guess now, maybe 5 years. So I was using their stuff and tagging them in stories, and then we obviously started selling it. But if you're making good content and they're interested, then they'll reach out. There's no point in being a beg. So just focus on your own content and your own the value that you're putting out there. And if they see it as valuable and you match up with their brand ethos, then I'm sure they'll be in touch. So next question, I presume this is aimed at me. Have you had any health scares since stepping up your bodybuilding? So yes.
Yes, definitely.
Every time I do my bloods, it's probably a health scare. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes it's just cholesterol levels need to come down a little bit. Sometimes alt levels are very high in the liver enzymes, and then that resulted in me having to have a trip to a private place in London to have like an ultrasound and all that sort of stuff, and yeah, potentially a biopsy at some point. But they've now put that down to gluten and being gluten intolerant, which is madness because the NHS blame everything else. Anything you're doing, anything you're taking, they blame protein, they blame creatine, they blamed everything but gluten. And then when it turned out it was gluten, so that was one of them. That's back in range now, and now that I've started to use less gluten. The other one was left ventricle hypertrophy, so an enlargement of the left ventricle, which is the main pump in the heart, and that just comes, it's called athlete's heart, but it comes from obviously being an enhanced athlete. Your muscles are going to grow, all your organs are going to grow, especially if it's a muscle like the heart. So you're going to have enlargement of that ventricle, which can be dangerous if it's not kept under control. But the way I sort of mitigate that is via a large amount of supplements. JP Heart Stack, so that's the Love Heart and Heart Care, using stuff like Nattokinase, Thrombomax by Strom, Systolmax by Strom, which is a blood pressure supplement, and then I use 20 milligrams of telmisartan, which is actually a prescribed, not prescribed to me, of course, but prescribed blood pressure medication, and that keeps my blood pressure down. If my blood pressure stays down, the heart doesn't have to pump as hard. It's not pumping against any sort of resistance, and then that's going to help that left ventricle stay where it needs to be. So I'm going to have a scan every 2 years, a full CAT scan, MRI, and they will tell me if the ventricle's grown or if it's shrunk or if it stayed the same. So I'm due one of them in the next 6 months. But I wouldn't say like a scare like I've been in hospital and on a drip and stuff like that. It's not been like, it's more just, oh, this test's come back irregular. What could it be? And then that obviously spirals you out of control with health anxiety. So
So one of my funniest ones that I got, and I did post it on my stories, was, did you get your boobs done just to go on stage? Which I think is absolutely hilarious, don't you? Like, you are.
I didn't ask.
You didn't ask that. I'm convinced I asked some of my questions. No, I did not get my boobs done just to go on stage. I had my boobs done before I ever went on stage, and the reason why I got my boobs done was because they were saggy. That's it. It's a confidence thing. I will say it does help with the balance of a physique overall, but no, it was not because I was going on stage. It is not an essential thing for a bikini athlete. Look at the Olympia stage. They don't all have fake boobs, just a few of them.
Just the good ones.
Laura Lee doesn't have fake boobs.
These kind of sound generic, but top 3 supplements for losing weight. What would I recommend?
A calorie deficit.
Calorie deficit, not supplement. It's difficult because they're only going to make you lose weight if you use them in conjunction with a good, balanced calorie deficit, exercise and weight training. I would say there's obviously fat burners that we sell, but they're more enhancements as opposed to they're going to do all the work for you. So we sell Applied Nutrition Shred X, which is a thermogenic, and it's got some green tea extract and stuff like that in there. It's obviously going to help with
L-carnitine and stuff.
Yeah, it's got L-carnitine in, so it's got a lot of ingredients that are going to help with the thermogenesis within the body, heating the body up, and then your body has to use calories to cool itself down. Then you've got pre-workouts, which effectively aren't directly a fat burner, but they are going to help you burn more calories. If you are moving more and you've had a caffeine supplement, for example, activity throughout the day from taking a supplement, then that's going to help you with your calorie burn, but it's not, again, going to boost it. And then probably the third one would be whey protein, primarily because it's even the isolate, no grams of carbs, no grams of fat, but even the whey, the normal whey, is very, very low in calories. I think it's about 140 calories a serving, so it's all protein. So you can make that into a Ninja Creamy. So technically it's a supplement that's not directly going to assist with weight loss, but it's a low calorie meal, food replacement. Who wants to eat 125 grams of chicken on its own when you could have like a Ninja Creamy, I don't know, cookie dough ice cream, for example. So it makes a diet definitely more...
Just more enjoyable, that's all it is, you know.
Yeah, you'll be able to stick to it more.
Enjoyment equals adherence.
Than eating just like dry steak and chicken and veg. You're gonna enjoy it more. So there's no direct supplement I'd recommend.
An interesting question I got was off the back of my last YouTube. I mentioned about traveling and how easy it is with things like chicken, etc. And I mentioned on there, like, I wouldn't have packet chicken, like pre-cooked chicken, from a shop if I was on prep. Does this go for any other kind of ready-made food products? While on prep, I eat 100% whole foods. I think that kind of goes without saying. The purpose of that is just because it, aids digestion. It's the best quality of food groups that you can have. If you were on a meal plan with myself or Danny, it would all be kind of raw weight. And the reason for that is if, say you get given 100 grams of chicken breast dry weight, well, not dry weight, uncooked weight, you might stick one in the air fryer, stick one in the oven, stick one on the pan, and all of them are 100 grams. But their cooked weight will all be different from each method of cooking. So that's why we don't use cooked weight, because it's never going to be accurate depending on how you cook it. Same with things like rice and pasta, depending on how much water they absorb, etc. During the cooking process, it's going to come out to a different amount. So bodybuilding is all about accuracy, and that is the best way to be accurate.
What is your favourite part about coaching?
My favourite part about coaching is just seeing how much confidence I can instill in somebody. Lots of people come to me, they generally come to me when they are at a point where they've kind of hit rock bottom. And to watch someone transform from, being very kind of self-conscious, maybe even never even been to the gym before, to generally most people like flourish into like a completely different person, and that is just like, I don't know, fills me with so much joy. And I feel like those are the kinds of transformations that kind of are just so heartwarming. And I genuinely build amazing relationships with 99% of my clients. I know them inside out. You know, I know what's going on in their homes. I know what's going on with work. I know what's going on mentally, physically, and watching them kind of transform into almost like another person, not only physically, but, you know, mind, body, and soul is just, yeah, it's absolutely incredible. That's my favorite part. What's yours?
I don't know, probably just showing people that they're better than they think they are.
Yeah.
Not just like lifting, but just obviously in the gym when they're improving, it's good, and they can see that they're improving. But also like the fact that they can organise their week, they can make their meals, and the amount of people that send me a photo on a Sunday of like the next 4 days of meals, and they're dead proud of it. And then obviously they've got no one else to send that to, because if they sent that to their wife or their brother or their mate, they wouldn't give a shit. Whereas I'd be like obviously encouraging that behaviour, and then it just kind of goes from there, and then that almost becomes a non-negotiable. Then they might send me their steps or their cardio or a photo of the treadmill, and then all these small habits build into like their lifestyle, and then all of a sudden everything just clicks together, and it's like the early stages when you just see them smashing it in the first couple of weeks, and they're absolutely buzzing. I know it starts like it's almost like the honeymoon phase when people start, because the weight starts to drop and then it gets a bit more tricky, but it's that first a couple of weeks where someone might drop 5 kilos in 2 weeks, and they think it's magic, but it's just down to their own sort of
it's their own hard
mindset
work,
mindset shift.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Do you prefer cutting or bulking?
I prefer elements of both. So I prefer the probably the early to mid stages of cutting. The end is pretty horrific. And I prefer the start and middle of a bulk, probably not the end when you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable. What about you?
I hate everything about bulking. I don't even enjoy off-plan meals. The only thing I like is being strong.
Can you tell what phase he's in at the moment?
This is apple juice. 600 calories of apple juice. No, I don't enjoy bulking at all. I enjoy the thought of it when I'm finishing a cut. I enjoy the idea of having off plans, but then when I have an off plan, it ruins my digestion, or then I can't eat my meals, so it kind of ruins that. So there's no real fun in that side of it. But the only fun is from progression in the gym and being able to lift 65 kg dumbbells.
Be really strong, yeah.
Yeah, because I couldn't do that if I was eating 2,000 calories, and that's where a lot of people go wrong. I've got clients that are skinny and they refuse to eat more than 3,000 calories because they're going to get fat, and they're just happy to sit at whatever weight, and their strength doesn't go anywhere, and you just need to push the food up. And I get that it's horrible and it's not nice to feel fat, but it's needed to be able to put the dumbbells up, get those 65s up.
Just crack this bad boy open.
Best place you've ever been on holiday?
I'm stuck.
Well, it's a place rather than an actual holiday, because obviously the wedding's different because there was 70 people there from the other man. No, it's different.
My favourite place is probably Koh Tao in Thailand still.
Disney World.
Or Disney, yeah, that's exactly where I was stuck between. I love Disney.
If you want an island, if you want the holiday vibe, probably Koh Tao.
Yeah, like Caribbean, tropical. Or if you want like to act like big kids, Disney.
You just want the magic of being on holiday.
Yeah.
Everything special, it's probably Disney.
I feel like Disney's very us because it's not drinky, it's very active, and it's loads of food.
Yeah.
And rides.
And it's expensive.
And Toy Story. Can sex affect your prep or anything like that?
So...
Can sex affect the prep rather than can prep affect sex? So think of it in the way that it's written.
Yeah, because you'll burn more calories. So you'll lose weight quicker.
So effectively, sex doesn't affect your prep, but prep affects your sex. Absolutely, doesn't it? Only really in like in the real depths of it. Like, I'll be totally honest with you. Like, you've got no energy to even talk to somebody. Like, you never mind have sex, and it does get a little bit, yeah. At the in the dog ends. How long did we sleep in separate beds?
8 weeks, 9 weeks.
Yeah. And that wasn't because we didn't love each other. We did. You just have to show affection in other ways, don't you?
Yeah.
Because you've just got no energy. And the separate beds is because he snores really loud and I needed to sleep.
Yeah, when you get to a certain percentage of body fat, your body will just turn off your libido.
Yeah.
Man, woman, animal, dog, whatever. It's gonna turn it off.
Yeah.
You're not seeing stray dogs walking around humping anything because they're just too worried about their food. So it's the same with humans. It's
That's such a good way of thinking about it.
your only thought process when you're that hungry and you're that depleted and starved is go and get food. So your body's not gonna
like fight or flight.
It's not gonna let you sleep. It's also not gonna let you reproduce. And as a woman, you'd be lucky if you keep your cycle. If you don't lose your cycle, you're probably not lean enough, or you're not truly lean, in my opinion. So yeah, you'll shut down your sex drive. You'll shut down lots of bodily functions, mainly a cycle for women.
Yeah.
Sleep for both. Sleep is a big thing that's affected, but
yeah,
the actual sex side of things, if you want to have sex, you'll just burn more calories.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
effectively.
It's very unlikely that you can have sex at the arse end of crap, to be honest.
One of my questions relating to that topic was, with you both going to bed so early, do you have sex? But there's 24 hours in a day, so just because you go to bed early, you wake up at 2:30. So do the math.
That's so rude. I hope you're well. How tall are you? Yeah, I am 5'7". How tall are you?
5'7.5".
I'm going to assume that this is maybe a fellow bikini girl who doesn't actually know me in person, has seen my pictures. I feel like I look like a tall girlie in my pictures, don't you?
I'm taller than Jake, so
that's all that matters.
I'm class B and he's class A. I'm looking to get into shape this summer, but I have no idea where I should start.
Oh, you don't know where to start?
Yeah.
I think initially, look at your values, your priorities, like where does getting in shape lie in terms of those? And, from there, I feel like once you have to put it into action, like motivation or wants don't mean anything unless you make a plan. And like for me personally, with a plan like that, right, okay, I want to get in really good shape, would be depending on where your start point is, whether you've ever been into a gym before, like it's different for every person. Number one, find some sort of movement exercise that you enjoy, that you can sustain, because it will take you a lot of work within that area to get you to where you want to be, but you will also have to continue to do that work to maintain it, unfortunately. Get yourself into a calorie deficit, start tracking your foods. If you're going to weigh your body, weigh your foods, be accurate. And then of course, get yourself a coach. Yeah. That's my biggest tips. What about you?
Eat less food, more movement. Stop worrying about what your watch says you burn and what you eat instead.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if your watch says you burn 2,000 calories. Doesn't mean you eat 4,000. That's how you're going to gain weight. So stop worrying about your watch and just eat less food. And then
did they say about a watch?
No, but I've had a lot of people saying that they've. If I start them on say 2,400 calories, they'll go, I burned 5,000 on my watch, and I'm like, there's no way in hell you burn 5,000 calories in a day if I don't burn that many.
There was a study on those watches, and apparently they're 90% inaccurate.
Yeah, I believe it. Literally, I only use this for sleep and for steps. Like it's a glorified pedometer.
Heart rate as well.
Yeah, even that's inaccurate.
I do. I like to see my heart rate.
Still inaccurate. But yeah, that's where I'd start, is just eating less, without me just saying sign up with a coach. But then if you eat less, how long are you going to do that for before you decide, you know what, this isn't working, I've done it for nearly 24 hours now, I'm bored, and then go get Domino's. So maybe get someone to be accountable to.
How do you feel about people using Mounjaro/Ozempic to aid weight loss?
I think it's lazy. It's a lazy way out. You're going to lose loads of mass from your muscle and your bone. I think 60% of the weight you lose is from lean tissue and lean muscle mass and lean bone density, which on the study that I was reading the other day is then likely to lead to like osteoporosis and muscle wasting and loads of different negatives. Jordan took it way before it was mainstream. He sent me a TikTok of it and said, I've just bought this and I'd never heard of it. I asked Jake, and Jake hadn't heard of it. And then he took it and he didn't drink water for 6 days. And then he collapsed when he was jet washing someone's drive. And then when they asked him when he last ate or drank, he couldn't answer it because he didn't actually remember. And that's the worrying thing. And I've got a client that's using it now against my advice. But my advice to that person is to make sure you're eating your meals, because your body isn't going to remind you. It's not like you're not going to get any hunger signals at all. You're never going to feel thirsty. And as you know, you go, 5-6 days without water, you will literally die. So that's probably the biggest risk. And then because you're not eating protein, your body's not just losing fat, it's losing muscle mass. It's losing everything. There's no, unless you're training like an absolute animal and probably using anabolic steroids, you're going to lose a lot of muscle mass. So why not just do it properly? Like, if you're not eating enough protein, then and if you're using those jabs, you're not going to be wanting to eat 200 grams of protein a day, because you're not wanting to eat anything. Never mind 200 grams of chicken breast or protein shakes, or like the thought of drinking water. And I have used this myself after a show just to try and curb my appetite, and I had no appetite. And then when I did eat, I got acid reflux, I got indigestion, and that was just from eating like a normal meal. So that was kind of me. I didn't use it again after that. So I've used it, and I didn't use it for weight loss. I did it to prevent weight gain in like a post show, but then it just slows down gastric emptying. So anything you do eat just sits in your stomach and bubbles away in there for longer. And then you're going to get refluxes, and you're just going to feel terrible from it. You're going to have lack of energy from not eating enough food. And it all comes down to trying to take a shortcut. So rather than doing that, why not just eat less food? If you've got an appetite that's forcing you to eat that much food, then maybe use it very sparingly, like whatever the recommended dose is, like I don't know what grams or what I use or whatever it was. Just use like maybe a fraction of it, and then see how many days it takes before you start to get your hunger back. I think some of the ones that I know that they've used, there's different ones, obviously, will last about 4 days before your hunger comes back. So if you're pinning that every single day, you're not going to be hungry for a long time. So if you do it and then you get to day 4 and then your hunger starts to come back in, then maybe do another little jab on the 4 day mark, and then try and do it every 4 days if you can remember.
I sit in two camps on this, because I feel like there is a group of individuals that would benefit from this, primarily being the people who are, extremely overweight, whereby it's actually debilitating how large they are, and they're actually unable to go for like a quick 10-minute walk, and they really, individuals like this, that there is such a thing as food addiction, and I believe it does silence kind of food noise, really. I feel like it would be beneficial for those kind of individuals to get a good chunk of weight off initially, so that they're actually able to do physical movement. But for kind of your general population, like, someone who's maybe, I don't know, an average size woman, size 16, like that kind of thing, like there's no need in it when you can physically just move and eat a little bit less. Like, that's kind of where I sit with it.
I also think you should do your bloods as well, because if you're anemic, or you have low iron or whatever vitamins and minerals that you're missing, and then you start jabbing this drug, and then you stop eating even less food that's nutritious, you're going to be even more deficient, and then you're going to have even more issues with energy and all of that sort of stuff as well. So make sure you're doing your bloods before you even start taking it. And a lot of people say, I'm not spending £160 to do my bloods. But when you're rushed into A&E and then you've got to spend thousands on private healthcare, then that 160 quid would have been a little bit more prudent to start with.
Yeah, or you rinse the NHS because you've been stupid.
Yeah, but they're not going to, you'll be waiting 6 years. The NHS is designed to let you die before they can treat you. Mm-hmm. How easy is it to get steroids on the island? Do you purchase them on the internet? I wouldn't have a clue. No idea. They are legal to possess. They are illegal to import. So if I had, hypothetically speaking, if I had a bottle of Trenbolone on me right now, and the police come and I could prove it was for personal use, they wouldn't be able to do anything because it's personal use. If I had 20 bottles, it might be a bit more questionable that maybe I'm a dealer and I'm selling it, and then that would be supply. So I could be arrested and obviously done for that. If I ordered it to my house and the parcel was intercepted, it's illegal. But if it isn't intercepted and it arrives, and then as soon as I open the seal, it's no longer illegal. They just have to catch me before I open the envelope, which makes literally no sense at all. If you want to take it and you want to buy from www.steroids.co.uk, you can. It's probably
Is that a real website?
It's a real website. It's probably going to get stopped because they'll know where it's coming from, and then you will get called into the police station and they'll say you've tried to import an illegal thing, and you'll probably get more time than a paedophile would. But that's just
That's so true.
That's just the Isle of Man.
Okay, so I was a PT a couple of years ago. I took a break from it all, but now I've developed loads of knowledge over the years and been on stage too. How would you go about getting back into coaching? I think kind of breaking this down, being a PT, you've took a break, you've developed loads of knowledge over the years, and you've been on stage. So developing knowledge and being on stage actually doesn't really equate to coaching whatsoever. I genuinely do believe that coaching is from just spending time working with people's bodies. Don't you agree?
I think you have to do it yourself. I would never take advice from someone that's not either in shape or been in shape.
Yeah. Well, they've been on stage.
No, I mean, just this is where I'm general sort of consensus. So walk the walk, talk the talk, and then people will believe you. Whereas if you're an overweight PT who just has never really been in shape, like why would anyone listen to you? They wanna almost take advice from someone that's been there and done that. But then also, it doesn't mean that like Chris Bumstead is the epitome of a man, in my opinion. He might be a shit coach because he's not taking anyone through it, but he can get in shape. So I would also take that with, there's like two sides to that. But then
100%.
The best coaches normally have done it themselves, and then they've spent years like loving the process, learning more about the process, and sort of just self-educating themselves. And you do have to have a trial period where you might get it wrong with some clients. You might peak someone wrong. The first time, like I peaked Rio, I could have put more carbs in. The second time I peaked Rio, he was literally bursting at the seams, and that was just me holding off a little bit, being a bit cautious. But then you learn more and more and more, and that doesn't mean that I could then peak someone else to get them absolutely perfect because I've done it twice. So it is experience with different people's bodies. Yeah. Everyone's slightly different. Everyone has different genetics and can handle more or less.
But I don't know if this is just because obviously they said that they were a PT, so whether they actually have any kind of background in nutrition. I would definitely recommend going and doing some sort of course on nutrition, although I won't tell you how to actually do very much. But yeah, PTing and kind of online coaching are completely different because PTing is obviously just kind of.
I would get back into the gym and start doing your PTs.
Yeah.
And then build up that confidence again, because although things probably haven't changed, like food is still food and exercise is still exercise, you might be a bit rusty. And then it's also then learning the difference between me going into the gym and screaming at someone 10 more reps and making them go to failure and giving them a hard workout is completely different to me sitting behind a computer, having a camera in the corner and trying to get someone to get off their sofa and do more than 5,000 steps a week. So there's two different types of coaching there. You need to be motivating, but you also at the same time need to be able to know how to motivate one person from another.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it can be praise. Some people will respond from praise, like you've done amazing this week, right? Okay, how can we beat that next week? And then some people you just need to tell off. So some people like almost they'll do a bad check-in and they want to be told you need to sort your shit out and you need to fix this, you need to fix that, because otherwise you're just wasting your own time, my time, everyone's time. And they'll respond well to that. But if I said that to some clients, they may
speak to you again.
They may just block my number and then cancel their membership. So everybody's different, and you learn that over time, and you're not going to be able to get that from day one. Also, when you do an online coaching, you're dealing with, like when you're in a PT set and you're in the gym, you're dealing with someone for an hour a day. You're not dealing with the fact that their mum might have died the night before, or they'd probably tell you that, to be honest, but you're just dealing with them in an isolated environment for an hour where they're going to work out. Whereas when you're doing online coaching, there's like, think about it, I've coached people for 2 years. I've had people lose family members, I've had people lose friends, I've had people split up with girlfriends, boyfriends, I've had someone go through a divorce, I've had people go on to TRT through their doctor, I've had hormone replacement therapy, I've had people go through the menopause. I've been there and I've done all that. So when you do that with one person, you then learn more for the next time that someone goes through it.
Yeah, you're more well equipped on how to deal with it.
You build the skills over time.
Yeah.
And the more people you coach, the better you're going to get at it. But It is just a case of
putting yourself out there.
Learning on the job.
On the job, yeah, 100%.
Just build it up from PT level, get some people in the gym, offer to do them a meal plan for free, try not to kill them. Don't be telling them to like...
That's a big one, actually. Like, do it for free. I think I coached 6 girls for free for 6 months, and that was where I kind of built up my experience and my portfolio. Quite simple. I spent a lot of time in the gym with them, a lot of time doing check-ins, everything, all for free in my own spare time.
Who is the strongest Welshman you know?
Ooh.
Jonathan Beckley or Morgan. I don't know. If it said Welsh person, that would obviously be somebody else. But we're talking about men here, so I'm gonna have to go with Morgan because I heard he does more than Jonathan. So
I think Jonathan Beckley is. He picks up those 65s for you, doesn't he?
Yeah. To be fair, he's getting the 70s out next week for me. So that's a nice little fun one. When is Christie getting OnlyFans and a kiss?
I got asked that as well, multiple times. I'm not getting OnlyFans. Thank you.
The link is Muscle Mommy. Muscle Mommy.
The Muscle Mommy. I'm definitely not that muscly. Not to have a Muscle Mommy OnlyFans link. Jesus. Link in bio. Does Danny use steroids? Are you 9?
9.
9.
On and off, probably 7 years. So...
9 or not.
Hopefully that answers that. What's your favourite part of the bodybuilding lifestyle?
Training. I love training. Love it. What about you?
Discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline and routine and regimen and being strict to it. And
like consistency.
And then if you don't do it, how pissed off you are with yourself for dropping the ball and dropping the standard. And that's something that you implement across your life. So
very much so.
You take that into work. My check-ins have to be done in a certain way, and I'm not skipping corners with them. And
done by a certain time.
And responses are rapid. So
I think that
you're not waiting 24 hours. I've got so many standards that I set, non-negotiable standards. Can you make your calf muscles smaller? If you can, how? The first question is, why would you want them smaller? If you've got massive calves, it's because you're fat.
Do you think? Yes. Or a cyclist? Cyclists have massive calves.
But then if I look at someone like Kyle, who was nearly 190 kilo, of course he's going to have big calves because he's got a lot of muscle because he's been carrying that round. That's always going to be one of his strongest muscle groups because it's the lowest part down the body that's been taking his weight. But as you lose weight, most of that body fat is going to come off and you're going to just be left with massive muscular calves. So I don't know why you wouldn't want them. I think most postmen have massive calves, so maybe maybe just become a postman and you'll fit right in. If this is a woman, I'm going to guess this is a woman.
Heels give you massive calves. I've got pretty big calves from wearing heels.
I'm going to guess this is a woman and you're probably a little bit bigger and now your calves are what you would consider too big and too chunky. And it's probably honestly because you either were very overweight and you were carrying a lot of load around and you've maybe lost weight and they're still big, or you're still big. And if you're still big, just lose more body fat and it's going to come off. It's like, imagine if you're peeling an onion and you're going to have to take you can't just hack away at one side and just say, I'm going to take all the fat off my calves. It does not work like that. Otherwise I would have a 6-pack and I'd have massive, big, fat bunda. And it doesn't work like that.
Same.
So you're going to have to just chip it off from everywhere. So you're going to lose fat from your cheeks, the palms of your hands, the soles of your feet, your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings, your belly, your lower back. And then finally it might come off your calves. But
we don't get to pick, unfortunately.
I wouldn't worry about the size of your calves. I would probably focus on the size of other areas. If on my sets I get less than the previous week, it's a precious week, previous week, can I take a breather then carry on to try and beat it, or is that defeating the purpose and pointless? You're still using the muscles and pushing them, but sometimes does that help? So you want to keep your rest times consistent, because if I do a top set of 60 kilograms for 10, and then the week before, so like say this was this week, and then I give a 2-minute rest, and then I did 50 kilograms and got 10, and that was my 2 sets. Then next week I did 60 and I got 10. And then I waited 15 minutes and did that second set. I'm probably going to get more than 10 because the muscle's not going to be tired. It's not going to be as fatigued. You're going to have,
You've given it time to rest.
You've given it too long to rest. So I wouldn't, if you can't get the reps, that's that set done. You chalk it off and you just get on with your session. If you're dieting and you're in a deficit and you're losing body fat every week, and maybe the week before you were 90 kilograms and this week you're 88 kilograms, you need to take that into consideration as well, because weight moves weight. So if you're, say you're doing 60, I'm just going to use that as an example because it's easy. If you're doing 60 and you weigh 80 kilograms, then happy days. And then if all of a sudden you're down to 70 kilograms and you're not able to do 60 anymore, you've lost a good chunk of weight. So if it's a push movement, for example, you're not going to have that amount of weight behind it. So you are going to lose a little bit of strength there. But in respect to this question, I wouldn't be taking a breather and then carrying on. If you can't beat the reps, then you mark that down and you might just have to go, right, next week. I'm going to beat the reps. I'm going to either go a little bit lighter and try and get the range. If you're out of the range and your range is 8 to 10, you've got 5 this week. Last week you got 8, then maybe drop the weight down and then focus on trying to get in the range. And if your range is, say, 8 to 10 and you've got 10 and this week you got 9, then next week you just do that same weight again and try and get 9 again or 10 again or beat the reps. You might have just had a bad sleep. It could have just been you were dehydrated. Maybe you just weren't feeling it. Maybe there's a load of different reasons why you might not be as strong. If you're female, it might just be cycle related. You could have been coming off cycle the week before and had a nice influx in hormones, and then this week they've leveled out. There's loads of different.
There's so many variables. You could have a shit night's sleep. Not eating carbs later on in the day. It's like, it's fine. Just need to take a breather. I got one that said, I was walking behind you in town a few weeks ago. That peach. Was that you?
No.
I feel like it was you.
It wasn't.
That peach.
I'm always ahead of you.
So true. Thank you so much, whoever that was. I've been working super hard on that peach.
How can I push myself to go to the gym after a heavy leg day when I feel too sore to lift? So you shouldn't be training legs the day after training legs. So if your legs are sore, you're going to be training upper body probably. So you shouldn't need your legs. You've just got to use your legs to drag your sorry ass into the gym. And then when you're in there, you're going to be either lying down, sitting down, or you're going to probably be chest supported of some sort. So
you're not using your legs.
Yeah, you're not using your legs. Or
vice versa.
If you've got sore legs, like 3 days after training legs and you've got legs again, then maybe that program's a little bit too advanced for you and you might want to scale it back to doing legs once a week and then do like push, pull, legs, rest, push, pull, and then rest again. If you're doing 2 leg days a week and you're still sore after like 4 days, then well done for going so hard, but probably not recovering quick enough.
Or eating enough protein as well.
Yeah, potentially you're probably doing this and eating 1,000 calories. I'm imagining this is a girl that trains glutes 3 times a week and eats no food. So speak to your coach. If you don't have a coach, maybe it's time to get one.
As a bikini athlete, are you on any gear? I think the best way to answer this is that in the bikini girl world, the ones who are natural shout about being natural, and that's where I'm going to leave it.
Is it normal for my legs to shake on the leg press? I feel like Jack asked me this. I don't know why. So now I got asked the question. I went on, and the person that had just viewed my question was Jack.
It was Jack.
Yeah, it was like he was the most recent person to view it. So I was like, "That why has he asked me that?" If your legs shake on leg press, they should shake on leg press. But if you've done something before that, like leg extensions, some sort of exercise, I don't know, hamstrings, you probably got a little bit of shakes in there anyway. And then obviously you do your set of leg press and it's very taxing on the central nervous system. So you are going to probably I always get a headache after my second set on leg press, like a stress headache, but that's normal for me. So I class that as normal. I bring paracetamol, I just drink a bit of water and then I hold my face for about 5 minutes. But yeah, I do get the shakes, and it's normally once I've done my 2 sets on leg press, I go into the single leg press, and it'll be almost like I've got a nervous twitch in my leg, and that's how I know I've
worked hard.
I've taxed the central nervous system there, and I've really had to dig deep to get those reps out. So it's probably a good thing in a way. Is there a lot of up and coming bodybuilders on the island?
Yes, there is.
So I'm gonna probably pop up some photos on the screen for people that don't know who these people are. Of the younger ones, up and coming to me isn't people that are, unfortunately, Scott, you're not up and coming. But there's obviously some people getting into it later on, which is amazing. But I'd say up and coming, like young, under 25, around that sort of age, what I would consider. You've got James Gilmore.
Big up, James.
He's got incredible potential,
Yeah.
but he doesn't check in.
Unfortunately.
And that's not his coach's fault, that's his fault. So check in, that's what he's there for. Massive potential. He's like 100 kilo and he's about the same height as me, and he's like 19. So massive potential there.
I have a few girls that I think have a great potential who would absolutely smash it on stage. One of them actually has never said that they wanted to go on stage before, to be fair. But I've got Cody. She is an absolute freak of nature. I have got Morgan Burns, who is also a bit of a freak. I have got Zara, who has never said she wanted to compete, but I think she would do very well.
I'm going to throw Leon Bale up there now that he's not Natty. Natty card's gone.
Natty card.
He obviously posts about that openly, but since he's jumped on, because he's put the work in for so many years as a Natty, and he's definitely reached his potential. Did a show last year as a Natty, and then like obviously seeing him in the last maybe 10 weeks since he's blown up, like everything is growing. He's great at posing as well. So I'll be looking forward to seeing his next show. I think that'll be very good for him as well. I think he's gonna do really well in his next show if he can continue to grow and just do what he's doing right now.
Keep going. Other non people that I coach who are from the Isle of Man, we've got Zlati, who looks amazing. She's actually competing in a couple of months. Paige Gilmore, she'll kill me for saying this if she ever watches it, but she doesn't actually compete at all or really do a whole lot of bodybuilding, but I've been chatting to her and I do think she would do very, very well as well. There's loads of people on the island. It's amazing. It's really, really good. Because I feel like bodybuilding, a lot of people try and gatekeep it. It's like, no, you can't do it. You're not serious enough. When it's like, anyone can do it. Give it a go. It's so fun, isn't it?
Got a posing day on the 15th of March.
So fun.
Faye is coming over and he's posing coach of the year last year. So he's coming over. So if you are one of these people, you should be at that posing day. And if you're not and you're interested and you want to come and watch, it's free to come and watch. So drop one of us a message and we'll give you the details. Advice for first timers?
Enjoy it. I think it depends. There's there's so much content out there for first timers. I think if there's anything specific, like drop me a message. My biggest piece of advice is get a fucking posing coach. Get a posing coach. You can train, you can diet, you can tick every single box in terms of your nutrition. You can drag your ass around all day. You can have the best physique on stage. But if you get up there and you don't know how to present it, you've wasted months and months and months, haven't you?
Yeah, my advice would be do a photo shoot.
Oh yeah, do a photo shoot beforehand. Make sure you've been lean beforehand.
And I'm not saying do a photo shoot and go in at like men, 20% body fat. It's not, you need to be absolutely shredded.
Yeah,
to the point where you're like, maybe I'd say you're 2 weeks out from stage and then...
I think that's a bit too much. Maybe like 6 weeks.
Nah, I'd say 2 weeks for a fella. You need to see visible abs, you need to see striations in the muscles. Yeah. You need to feel like shit because you're going to have to carry that on. You're going to have to go even deeper. You're going to have to keep doing cardio. Like that point where you do the photo shoot, you need to think, right, that was really hard, but I've got another 4 weeks in me.
Yeah.
Because if you're 2 weeks out from a show, you've then got to reverse, and the 2 weeks after the show is harder than the 2 weeks before because you're just going to want to eat everything. So you need to be able to, like where you're at that photo shoot, you'll need to be able to smash through that for another 4 weeks, I would say, as a minimum. And if you do, my other advice is don't do one show, do at least two. Like you're putting your body through absolute hell. You're taking it to somewhere it doesn't want to go. So book 2 shows. If you hate the first one, you just cancel the second one. And probably another bit of advice I'll steal from Jake is to not commit to your show dates, i.e. don't start booking Airbnbs and the tan and the photos and stuff. You can do that the night before. Like you can book photos the night before. You can all that sort of stuff you can book like 2 days out. You're going to know by then if you're going to make it. If you are currently 6 months out and you've already booked an Airbnb, the tan, the makeup and all that sort of stuff, then you're potentially setting yourself up for a very expensive fall. Try not to get too much of a hype on yourself and don't be saying like, coming for my pro card, coming for the sword, Stony Boster, all this stuff, because then when you fail, everyone's just like, thought you were getting your card. So just keep yourself humble and just don't say anything. Just, I've got this show booked and I just want to do well in it. I want to beat last time. That's all you need to say, is be humble. If you're going up there with this ego that you're going to come back with a load of trophies and medals, then you're just putting loads of pressure on yourself and you're not going to enjoy it. You're going to hate it, and then you're going to come up there and you're not going to get what you want, probably. And then you're just going to have loads of people looking at you and watching you say, I thought you were going to do this, I thought you were going to do that. So, yeah, don't be that guy. Stony Buster. Christie to answer, how do you fit in bed with Danny's massive shoulders taking up all the space?
Like this.
I don't. I just send them downstairs.
Anyway, I think that concludes this episode. We've been waffling for a while, so thank you if you have managed to stay this long.
OnlyFans, link in bio, muscle mommy.
I'm not doing OnlyFans, but yeah.
If you want her to do OnlyFans, comment in the video below OF, and if we get 100 comments, then I'll force her to do it.
You're ridiculous. No. Anyway, thank you so much.